What's up, everybody? Welcome back to E3 2019, the final video, our overall thoughts. Today, I'm joined once again by the beautifully blue-eyed Ben Watson. How's it hanging?
It's going, dude. It's going. I like how that's like my intro now, the beautiful blue-eyed Ben.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, in the first video, I was like, and I, of course, am your beloved host, Shotgun McPain, here for your final E3 thoughts. Thank you. Tubby boy. All right. So, what did you overall think about E3, Ben?
It wasn't the worst, wasn't the best, wasn't fantastic, wasn't very good. I had a lot higher hopes, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's my big thing, is that I was expecting to be very impressed. I was expecting to be wowed. I was hoping for that, that hype moment that we got when we saw God of War, but didn't have that feeling in anything really. But
yeah, they're really, I mean, like, with PlayStation getting out of the game, I think the most I'm disappointed with is the fact that Xbox didn't really bring it. Like, Xbox really kind of was lackluster this year, and they felt like how they kind of do earlier years, and they kind of just were there. They weren't a powerhouse like they should have been, with this conference being as smaller as it is. And it only goes to show, unfortunately, I think, how far E3 has gone down and how it's not a popular thing anymore. I mean, and that saddens me, because since I was a little kid, I'm watching this game show, and you get other studios going over the Nintendo Direct route. We have just this year, we've got State of Play from PlayStation that's got introduced. We got Google Stadia before E3. They did a direct type style, and I think that's where more things are moving, and these big conferences are not needed by the big publishers and developers and everything.
Yep.
I think for me, the biggest thing that I felt with this conference is that nothing that we saw, because we saw a bunch of new things. I mean, like Elden Ring and Tales of Rise, but it's just like, well, I think this is also the E3 of leaks, where a lot of things would have been fucking cool if we would have saw them at the show. Like the reveal of Elden Ring would have been amazing. For me, Tales of Arise would have been fucking awesome to get revealed there, because of the art style, because of the new way gameplay, and I'm a huge Tales fan. I think a lot of things. Luckily, the biggest thing that was there is like the Keanu Reeves thing didn't get, and Cyberpunk didn't get leaked in any way, and he's apparently going to be a big part of the game. I'm
very surprised it didn't get leaked, actually.
Yeah. It's definitely one of those ones. And I think even if it would have got leaked, that's the one moment where I'm like, even if it got leaked, the fact that Keanu Reeves was on the stage and like was so jovial as he was on stage, I think boosted the fact that of the announcement. This kind of just felt lacking. Like Halo, I expected even Halo Infinite to get some more information. Because we still, this game is supposedly coming out holiday 2020, and we still don't know what it is. We still don't know what the gameplay is. I don't even think they showed it on the show floor at this point. We got showed Avengers. We don't know what this game is. Like, what? It's coming out the beginning of next year. I feel like this is the E3 of the lack of information, and that saddens me. I mean, and they did there was a lot of behind closed doors. Like the Avengers was behind closed doors. I haven't heard great things from the Avengers behind closed doors reveal. I've heard it feels like a good licensed game, like X-Men Origins Wolverine or something like that, and that kind of saddens me with the talent behind it. And the whole thing of even Final Fantasy VII Remake, it's like, is this the first episode? Is this, because they said it's entirely in Midgar, and with they're like, is just 2 coming out? Are we gonna have a remake 2? Are we gonna have a remake episode 2? Like I don't like, where's that at? Where there really wasn't a ton of information. And we do get this out of, you know, conferences that are, you know, pre-new console generation, but I feel like this one especially, and I think it's mostly because of the way that E3 has been dying out over the years, is indicative of a dying conference, a dying show. Unfortunately, I really hope that we come back next year and have PlayStation, have all these, you know, big studios reveal stuff, because there was so much in between big games in the non studio head, or in the non platform holding conferences. There was just so much in between that just didn't need to be in there. But I mean, we can kind of just jump into our overall thoughts of, you know, what games really surprised us, what games we think are the best of the show, what disappointed us that it wasn't there. Yeah, I think we're gonna kind of jump into that, and I think for me, there's quite a few that I had. I mean, for me, the biggest thing, the reveal next to Keanu Reeves, is like Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy was amazing. The gameplay looked awesome with the ATB still in there. Also, Witcher 3. That was another one where I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, they're actually doing it, you know? Witcher 3 for Switch. It's just, I'm like, oh, well, I guess they're fitting this big RPG. And even though I've beaten that game, I haven't gone back and played the DLCs that everyone raved and ranted about. I do think overall that Cyberpunk is the best reveal, even though we know about that game.
The reveal is just hype. It was the most hype of everything that happened, in my opinion. Like, especially when you saw Keanu, it was all like, what the shit? Like, you weren't expecting it. And
right.
I will say that what we did see of Cyberpunk looked awesome.
Right.
Like, I mean, even if it wasn't a game, even if it was just a movie, it was intriguing. It caught my attention, and I wanted to keep watching.
Well, especially since they showed off the previous sidekick, or whatever you're gonna call him, kind of just die. You know, like, that's it. Yeah. You know, for him. And I mean, we've already seen the gameplays previously. I think it was during Gamescom last year. So we kind of know what we're getting. I love that we got a release date, April 16th next year. It's still a long ways away, but I'm just really excited for it. I also am excited for Animal Crossing, another game that got delayed from its 2019 release date. I think that game is just everything I wanted in an Animal Crossing game since the first one. That's definitely up there for me. A surprise announcement that I was like, you know, I enjoy these games a lot, but the Lego Star Wars game, I was like, oh, they're remaking the entirety of Lego Star Wars in an open world setting. Like, I'm like, all right, I'm down with that. You know, not something I'm super excited for, but not something that I'm not like, oh, I'll keep my eye on, you know.
Right.
Gears 5 was really big for me. I think it is indicative of how the show went, where we had this presentation of Gears 5 where it was just like the cinematic trailer with the faces going back, and then there was like this pomp and circumstance going down below for this new escape mode, and they showed a bunch of WWE superstars down there playing the new mode, but didn't actually show off the new mode. And I think that's just, it feels that the conferences themselves felt so barren because of that. And I think there's some of them it goes a lot for the game's not ready yet, so they don't really want to show it in an unpolished state other than it behind closed doors. But I think overall, like with Xbox's conference was very lackluster. Just for the fact that there wasn't like nothing really. I guess all the conferences kind of did this, but there was a lack of clarity in the announcements. Like Halo Infinite had an amazing trailer, but I was like, okay, we're gonna get into a gameplay, and we didn't see a thing. And we still don't know what this game is, but I think there was some cool reveals in there. I mean, something that's really odd, but I wasn't expecting that to like as much as I did, was a Microsoft Flight Simulator. That looks really cool. It's just like the possibilities of it, like flying over New York or flying over, Paris. That's just.
No, I agree.
It's a really cool like concept.
For sure.
Who do you think overall won E3 for you? You think?
Like in terms of like per conference?
Yes. Or like, how would you rank them? I guess.
See, it's hard. It's really hard because I mean, with the Microsoft, we saw, obviously a glimpse of Project Scarlet, and then Halo, and then Borderlands, and then of course Cyberpunk. And I think those were kind of like big names. Ori and Will of the Wisps.
Mm-hmm.
But then like,
which also got a delay of February 11th, 2020. I'm like, oh, that's troubling with the new console on the way, especially because it's been so long. I think personally for me, without a doubt, Nintendo was my number one conference, just because they did have some surprises. They did things that they already have shown have surprised me more and got me more interested in it, like Luigi's Mansion 3. Like I was interested in that, but I've never been like a huge Luigi's Mansion fan, and seeing this new gameplay, I'm like, oh wow, that's super cool. And I think with the vague 2019 release date does worry me, but I think there's a lot of things to love about that conference. I think another personal bias to me is Square Enix's conference. Even though they did show off a ton of games that were already out and kind of just felt like ads, I think they had a lot to reveal as well, especially for JRPG fans, like the Final Fantasy VIII Remastered finally becoming remastered, and that it just kind of felt more cohesive than a lot of the new press conferences. Like Bethesda's like started super high, and kind of it was just like, oh, we know about this. Oh, we know about this. Oh, this is a mobile game. Oh, we know about this. Oh, we know about this. Oh, this is really cool. Oh, we know about this. Like,
yep.
And I think the biggest outlier with that was Ubisoft. Ubisoft like just plummeted after they did Watch Dogs. Maybe you could make a point for the Always Sunny people doing the show, even though that doesn't necessarily belong at a conference. It was still like, oh, I'm interested in this, but like right after that, just totally dipped down. I'm like, why did you even have a conference this year?
Quarantine looked like it could be cool, but then it was just like, oh yeah, fucking Brawlhalla, Adventure Time, and then Just Dance, and there's the stuff that's gonna happen with the Division that you already know about, and then we're gonna have Uplay Plus and more DLCs, and some games you don't care about.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I said it in the Ubisoft video that I did, that they literally teased a forum for Ghost Recon. A community forum. Like, why? Like, okay, fair enough. Like, you want to, but that is a blog post announcement. It is a blog post announcement at best. And that was so, like, I'm like, are they really? It's like, it's a community, a forum, or it's a community to get together talk about Ghost Recon. I'm like, you are literally talking about a forum right now.
And then they were like, yeah, right, yeah, the community. And it's like,
and I just, man, like it was one of the, it was EA levels of bad. Whereas at least with EA, I get like, oh, there's, like some things I really care about, and then there's Madden, which I don't care about, but I'll watch, and then there's like, some things I really care about. There was literally one thing I cared about, and the rest were just garbage. And I think that it's indicative that they showed a forum and an event for For Honor, that a limited time in-game event for For Honor that just is just shows the caliber of announcements this E3. I definitely like it was one of those E3s going into it. I felt less excited for it, and I was like, nah. I feel like that a lot of E3s, and I get overwhelmed with announcements and stuff. But this E3 felt exactly how I felt for it going into it, where I was just like, oh, I guess it's E3 right now. Like, it didn't feel special. I think that is indicative of how it was. I think there's some moments like Keanu and when the Ghostwire Tokyo game came out on Bethesda stage, and the new developer of that, who's like the apprentice to Shinji Mikami, and she was adorable. There was like a lot of like a question mark announcements, like Orion and Bethesda's press conference, where it was like, oh, what is this? Is this a streaming service? Like, this was another press conference of streaming services and mobile devices, or mobile games.
I'm still a little bit confused about what Orion is.
I have no idea.
Like,
yeah,
okay.
Are you putting Bethesda games on it? Is it a software that is going to coincide with Project xCloud and Stadia? Is it a software on its own? Like, I'm super confused on it. I mean, especially like with Bethesda, how they were like, oh, here's Elder Scrolls Legends, here's Commander Keen, like, you know. Yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, I get to see Doom Eternal, you know, but like I'm like, I already have a feeling for what that game's gonna be.
Let's just stop for a second though and talk about how fucking awesome Doom Eternal looked though.
Oh yeah, that is the game. These past few Doom games are the gamiest games I've ever seen, and I fucking adore it.
I love it.
Especially with the platforming sections that they've added, like with the dash and the grappling hook, adding another level to the 2016 Doom. I think it's going to be awesome. I do think that the date is a little bit too far for where I want it to be. So we're already kind of in the Thanksgiving season by that point, but yeah, I
want it now.
Exactly. Well, I mean, like, I would have been fine like in October, but it's like November 22nd. I think that sounds about right.
It was definitely like mid-November, mid to late November,
and I was just like, that's super late for this. Like, why this late? But I guess, you know, they take their time on it. I rather, like Miyamoto said, you know, a rush game is bad forever. A delayed game is only bad. It's not that it's delayed, but you know, I do think. Following in line with the rest of my hopes and dreams being killed, Kingdom Hearts 3's DLC was very lackluster. It was just like, okay, I guess it looks like we're going through the same stuff but as different characters. So I was kind of right in my predictions. You know, that was kind of odd. I will give I think it's this fall, but I will give Fallout 76 another chance because they're adding a
Battle Royale.
The Battle Royale less so. That's less so. But like, they're adding an NPC quest line, so it's going to feel like a Fallout game. I hope it's quest lines and not quest line. They were kind of shaky there. I do think like a lot of things that were announced were really cool. I think Elden Ring does look cool, but again, it's like a gameplay, no gameplay snippet. I think that Lego Star Wars looks, you know, cool, which I kind of already know that. Avengers is another one I had on my list, but again, no gameplay. Maybe like 4 seconds of gameplay.
You can't even tell if it's gameplay or if it's a cutscene.
Right. It's gone so fast. A surprise to me that I, going into it with all these leaks, I was like, oh, this is going to be really dark, and I don't want it to be because the last one was super cool. Was Watch Dogs Legion. Like, Watch Dogs Legion looks ambitious in the best way. I think that the NPC mechanic where you can kind of recruit people leaves so many options for story and for making your own story, like a Breath of the Wild sort of thing, you know, like talking about water cooler moments rather than just this is what happened in the story.
And then the replayability as well. Like next time you play the game, you'll have whole new characters and it can go completely differently. And I love the idea of if you really like a character, you better cherish that character, because if you're not careful, they can die.
Right. Well,
and I'm sure there's circumstances where they can go to prison and you got to bust them out and stuff like that as well. At least I'm hoping.
Yeah.
If not, that'd be kind of sad.
But yeah. Well, and it's like also forming your own customized team. I mean, like I remember I was watching Kinda Funny's stream on it, and Greg Miller was talking about having a roster full of grannies and just have a granny squad for Watch Dogs. Like that just sounds super cool to just be able to fuck around with. I'm very excited. The release date, I was like, oh, it's definitely coming this year, because I don't think there's going to be many Ubisoft things this year. And no, it's coming out March 3rd, no, 20th? Something like, it's coming out in March for sure, in 2020. So, but you do need, with a game as ambitious as this, I understand.
Yeah.
I think another game that we've already been shown and the reveal, but I'm super excited for, and it's only a few months away. It's Link's Awakening. I've never played the original. I love the 2D games. I think Link Between Worlds is definitely one of my favorite Zelda games of all time. And I've heard that these Link's Awakening is a weird Zelda game, and I am looking forward to all that sorts of weird. They had like the Mario characters in it and all that. One that surprised me, but I remember as a JRPG fan hearing rumblings around, is Seiken Densetsu 3. I'm probably butchering that, but Trials of Mana, always being like the thing that people are importing over because it never got ported over to the West. Now they're doing a remake of that game, and I've never been a Mana person, but seeing Trials of Mana, I'm just like, this would be real fun. Just like a $40 game on Switch just to play around with. I think that's really cool. And then they also announced the collection of Mana. So at some point I will definitely go back and play Secret of Mana, and they localized Trials of Mana, the actual game. That's really cool. Another game I'm looking forward to that's coming out in just a little over a month is Force Awakens, Fire Emblem, Three Houses.
Yeah.
The fact that it's kind of like it's becoming a Persona light game. Like you're the teacher and you can see these kids grow up, and then you can see them grow up, and then later on they grow up, and there's some action going on there. Make them do the do. But you need them though. You need them to
make them do the do.
Yep. And you need them to do the do, so you can get more reinforcements, so you can have your dream team. I'm just saying, it's not a sexual thing at all. It's not a sexual thing.
It sounds like a sexual.
No, you just
sounds
need to
like you've had
people.
This in the back of your head for a long time.
I'm not gonna confirm or deny. I just listen. I want a Lancer who can shoot a bow as well. Just if I have to, be like, hey, you should date this person. Okay, there we go.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, all joking aside, I am really excited for Fire Emblem, especially for a Fire Emblem on the Switch. As I mentioned before, Animal Crossing. I think it's happening, Ben. I think we're getting our multiplayer where you can stay in the town and we can share a town, and it's gonna be fucking cool. And there's crafting
I will buy
elements.
a Switch if that is how it is. I will buy a Switch,
and we are gonna.
I've been debating on it back and forth for a while now, but I've decided that is my deciding factor. If they release it so that you can live in a town and coexist, and
it looks like it, man. I think that is indicative of Nintendo really bringing it and seeing, even if you were on the fence about it, reasons to own a Switch. We have Witcher 3, we have Trials of Mana, we had We had Fire Emblem. We had the Marvel game, the Marvel Ultimate Alliance game. Like they are bringing the heat with why you should own a Switch. Especially in this year, like we're not stopping with our production of games. Even though last year was a little bit, light on games, this year is picking it up in strides. There's so many games that are coming out for the Switch this year.
And then their drop of Cadence of Hyrule, the Crypt of the Necrodancer.
Right.
That was fucking awesome. I was like, oh shit, because I like Crypt of the Necrodancer. I think it's an awesome game.
That's
the whole Zelda theme of it. That's awesome.
That's definitely one that I was curious about, because the Cadence of Hyrule got me actually interested in Crypt of the Necrodancer, because I've never played it. Really? And it was on sale on Switch for like $3. I'm like, well, might as well try the original before I jump into the Cadence of Hyrule. I'm like, I'm enjoying myself. I think it's a very interesting game. So I'm interested to try out Cadence of Hyrule. I still want to get in a little bit to Crypt of the Necrodancer before I can make my decision. Another one that I forgot to mention is Outer Worlds. Outer Worlds looks fucking fantastic, and I was looking at some videos, and from what they say on the gameplay, this is an RPG SRPG where if you get killed by a robot, you can set it so that you have a flaw or if you get killed by a robot so many times, you can set it so you have a flaw that you have fear of robots and they take less damage. But you can sprint. You can sprint faster. Like, so you can choose to take that. That's super cool to me. Like,
it's very, very interesting.
The perk and flaw system sounds super cool, especially for a Fallout like. And they did say that it was going to be a smaller game than a Fallout game or something like that. And more traditional open worlds. But if they're willing to give me this, I am super excited for what they can do in that. It's, again, another one's right on the corner in October. I can't wait for that. There's so many good shooters coming out.
Super pretty too. Super pretty looking game.
Right. Yeah, and I think there's so many good shooters coming out, like RPG looking shooters, like Borderlands 3 is coming out, and of course Doom Eternal, like we mentioned before. I think that. Oh. Hold on. That was weird. Anyways, I think that sorry for the technical difficulties. I think that it's super cool that we're in an age where we can get a Fallout-esque game where it's not super, it's overt, but they're not like, oh, fuck you, Fallout.
Yeah.
Especially in an age where we are getting things. Oh, it's my phone.
I'm like, what the hell are you doing?
Did you hear that?
No.
Anyways.
Oh, is your phone vibrating?
No, my phone, when I put it up against my speaker, it's farting.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Coming back. Sorry for the technical difficulties once again. But I'm gonna bring it back and talk about Jedi Fallen Order, a game that I am very cautiously optimistic about. I think it has great potential, especially with developers like Respawn. But I think if it was just Respawn, I'd be okay with it. But the fact that EA is also a part of it worries me. Like,
I agree.
Are we gonna have like these grandiose DLC plans that are never gonna pay off? Are we gonna have these, microtransactions maybe? How did they intervene with the story? It's just like how like a big budget movie, is coming out. It's like, okay, how did the studio meddle with this? How did what did they make to make it the way it is?
No, 100%. I mean, what we saw of it looked great, though. I mean, it definitely has potential. Definitely has potential.
Right.
We could definitely see it going poorly.
Yeah, I definitely. I'm consciously optimistic about it, but I think that the performances were good from what I saw. It looked like it was a good. It looks like it was a good jumping on point again for Star Wars, and I'm hoping to death it is, because I have missed being able to play a good Star Wars game. I hope the lightsaber combat feels good. I mean, especially with things now like God of War, where the combat feels immaculate. Yep. I do think that we're in a age that it needs to come back.
For sure. And I mean, we've got a lot of good like sword fighting games like Mordhau that just came out.
Yeah.
That I mean, with that you would think that we can get some really nice intense lightsaber battles that would feel like fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Just give you that sense of power and just yes.
Well, and we have some of the people, I know Stig Asmundsson, I think that's his name. I think I'm also butchering it. But he I think he was behind God of War, the originals, and those games play immaculately. So I'm hoping the combat translates over and is really cool. I just want a good story again. I felt this with Battlefront 2, where I'm just like, I'm so excited, and I'm so excited for the concept of a stormtrooper going through all the eras. And it came out and it was very lackluster, and I think that the microtransaction debacle didn't help its case, but I think even just the story itself felt like there was too many writers on it. And I'm worried that this cool concept of Jedi being hunted down is also hindered by EA. And as a huge Star Wars fan, I'm worried.
No, for sure.
Going back to the Gears of War 5 gameplay for a little bit. I am excited for the new escape mode. It kind of seems like a zombie RPG, like zombies-esque mode.
Yeah, it looks interesting. Something a bit new, something a bit refreshing.
Yeah. I just wanted to touch on that a little bit because I think that it's a opportunity for the Gears series to evolve in a way that doesn't feel as tacked on. I do, and for everything I hear, like Rod Ferguson, head of the Coalition, who's doing Gears, is kind of the way he talks about it. He's like, okay, Gears 4 was our Force Awakens, and I hope, like, I know a lot of people are not the biggest fans of this movie, but this is our Last Jedi. Like, this is our, we're not playing it entirely safe. We're taking those chances. We're taking those risks. And that's what I felt with Gears 4, where I loved Gears 4, but I was like, like it just feels like a Gears game. It's a little bit too close to the chest. Although the ending of it kind of felt different. And I'm like, oh, this is really cool. This is a cool direction that they could take it in. So I'm hoping that they pay off that in the story as well as the gameplay of it, and I think they're onto something. I think that they have something special here with what they're doing with the Gears series, and as a fan, I really hope they bring it back because I'm not super invested at the moment.
No, 100%. Like we said, it's just become a hack and slash and nothing more than hack and slash.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
I mean, you know, best probably part of the Gears announcement is pop figures.
yeah, that was kind of out of left field. It was out of left field last year, and it's definitely out of field this year. Just was like, hey, there's this Clash knockoff that's a Gears of War Funko Pop game, and I'm like, oh, okay, we're doing this, aren't we? Okay. I feel like there was a lot of stuff in Xbox conference where I'm like, oh, okay, we're doing this. Although, like, things like, there were some surprises like Minecraft Dungeon that I'm like, oh, that's kind of like, I'm not gonna be probably into it, but for a casual audience to be able to experience this genre, I'm like, oh, okay, you know, I can get behind this. I can see it.
Yep.
I overall, I kind of final thoughts, unless you have anything else you want to cover.
I mean, no, I think you've pretty much hit the nail on the head with everything. I mean, one thing that I wasn't expecting at all that just kind of caught my eye that I really was excited about was Creature in the Well.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's that Hyperlight Drifter looking pinball game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you power up your pinball and you bounce around and get energy and use it as kind of like a currency. That game that looks awesome.
Yeah, there was a couple cool indie games like that, and the one, and I said that again. I said this in the video, but the thing I hate the most about the indie montages is they're just one after another. You're like, oh, I have no idea what this game is. Like it didn't like there wasn't no explanation. So when it comes out, I'm like, oh, I don't know about this.
It's because they don't have the money for the screen time,
right? Well, and like that's what I love about like watching the Kind of Funny Games showcase. Is like they showcase all these indie games, and they take the time to give them their due. And I think that's what we lack in those big showcases. And the thing is, the things that we were shown were like, are you serious? This is what you want to show? You know?
Yep.
But I do think there was some cool indies. RPG Time, The Legend of Wright, I think is that pen and paper looking platformer, I'm assuming. That looks very promising. The 12 Minutes by Annapurna also looked like an interesting like narrative game. But yeah, there was quite a few indies that I'm like, oh, okay, I can get that behind this, you know. Ones that we necessarily didn't know about. Speaking of indies, one thing that was very disappointed was still not there is The Last Night. That's that cyberpunk looking 2D side scroller that was shown off a couple years ago.
Oh yeah,
that has been nowhere to be seen. I haven't checked up on it yet, but it's, you know, that game I was very excited for, and I hope it kind of didn't get you know, canceled off,
swept under the rug.
Yeah, like I was like, oh, we didn't get through with that. Speaking of like things that were not on the show, there's a few things I was kind of disappointed with were on the show. I mean, obviously like Splinter Cell, and you know, just like stuff that I was like, this is no way this is gonna be at the show, but you know, I can dream. Like the Harry Potter RPG was nowhere to be seen. The WB Montreal was nowhere to be seen. Capcom. I have to think about it. I think Capcom was, well, I guess in Nintendo they did show that Resident Evil 5 and 6 are coming to Switch, which was a very weird reveal. But Capcom really wasn't at this E3, I don't think.
No, I don't really recall.
Other than that, I can't really think of anything that was super special. I'm waiting for some like Dragon's Dogma 2, like some high profile reveals that were really absent. I don't know if I already said it. I think I did, but Splinter Cell. There was a lot of things that I was like, oh, big one, the Fable reboot. Like I was like, I was so excited.
I was like, no Fable?
That's the thing that's lacking, is like there was just like, there's no big reveals like there has been in previous years. And I think that there wasn't like a oh shit moment besides Keanu.
Exactly. Everything we knew was coming. Everything, like even with Cyberpunk, we already know Cyberpunk's there. We already were expecting Cyberpunk. And the only reason why we had that hype moment is because they had a high-profile celebrity like Keanu Reeves there for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's disappointing.
Yeah,
because we knew everything that was big coming into it. There, like we said, there was those few things here and there, and then there's a lot of stuff was just.
Yeah, it kind of felt empty. There wasn't like the fact that Keanu Reeves being in Cyberpunk is the big reveal of E3. It's showing of what an overall conference it was, where there wasn't like, oh my god, they announced Banjo-Tooie 3 or Banjo-Kazooie 3 or what. I'm not a bit. That was a bad one to go off of. But there wasn't like oh, Final Fantasy 8 remake. Like, you know, even like we're not done with Final Fantasy 7. We're doing Final Fantasy 8. And the lack of gameplay, the lack of understanding what things were, was very just disappointing overall. Another one that I was very excited to possibly be there because I have never played it was the Metroid Prime trilogy. Like there was none of that. There was none of like even these smaller reveals that were like felt like shoo-ins for the press conference were nowhere to be seen.
Yeah.
We did get like Breath of the Wild, this Breath of the Wild sequel, but it's like, oh, there's no way that's just a concept at this point. you know, and there's no way that's
you didn't see anything.
Yeah,
it was just like a title sequence.
And some of those things we are used to in conferences where it's just like, oh, title sequence, like Elder Scrolls 6 or Starfield, where it's just like, oh yeah, this is a thing. Okay, that's fine. But then we also get announcements that, oh, this is also coming out down the road.
But it was basically just like title sequences this year, and like stuff that wasn't exciting.
Yeah, I think that only like I don't even think anything that was on my Ubisoft's predictions was at the show. Like, I don't know.
That Just Dance though, oof, I'm excited. Are you?
It's still on Wii. It's still on Wii. It is fucking. It has been almost 12 years since it's been almost 13 years since the Wii got released, and we're still getting the Wii game. It's still being ported.
See, I'm just curious, like, did they like cut a deal or something?
I want to know the numbers, man. Who's like, yeah, can I have Just Dance for Wii? Like
you mean like, the Wii U? No. Classic Wii.
The Wii. Like that'd be like in the Wii U era, like, hey, I need a Super Smash Bros. Super Smash Bros. Wii U on GameCube. You know, like it's just like, wow, like it is a feat that must still be selling super well if they're able to be like, yeah, that's on Wii, which makes sense because it is a casual game. And I'm sure with as many people as we used to get, like back at Toys R Us, where it's just like, do you have Mario on Xbox, or like, you know, like, yeah, you know, like do you have Gears of War for Wii, you know, like
a lot of surprises, like you can still buy a Wii new, and they are still expensive,
right?
Nintendo does not lower the prices of their stuff.
Oh no, they don't. They're notoriously, but it keeps the value of them. They keep their value. It's amazing. Another thing. Oh, speaking of Nintendo, the biggest thing I think that was a disappointment for me was the fact there was no more Virtual Console announcements. Like we're still on the NES. We're getting to the bottom of the barrel of the NES. We're still not like. Where's SNES is nowhere to be seen, N64 is nowhere to be seen, Game Boy is nowhere to be seen. Like, it's like, come on, you know, I want a better Virtual Console service. That's a huge thing. I think also it's down to like the ports of these games that we're getting, like the Mana Collection and the Contra Collection. That is just like, oh, maybe we're just gonna get ports of these games. Maybe you know. I
bet you it's a money thing. I bet you they're making more money off ports versus the service for having, you know. So
the other thing with like gameplay is that I was watching Easy Allies, and they brought up a good point. The theory is that the reason that there's no gameplay shown at these conferences is that there's a bunch that, or they was like, oh, this reveal doesn't look as good as what it was E3, like Watch Dogs and Anthem, and like when you showed it originally at E3, it looked a lot better than what the final product was, and I think that's indicative of what's happening now, and I think that makes a whole lot of sense. But it's also onto the companies where they're just like, oh, we're gonna show this in a state where it looks amazing, and we won't be able to keep up that polish for the rest of the, you know, dev cycle.
Yep.
But
I'm hoping the reason why we didn't see a lot of stuff is I'm hoping a lot of companies are waiting for next gen hardware, and I'm hoping that you know, maybe next E3 we'll see a lot more big exciting things for next gen hardware and for all that jazz, because it is right around the corner that we're going to be seeing next-gen hardware really start to become a thing. And, I mean, obviously developers do need to have big titles for those new pieces of hardware.
Right. Yeah, I think overall, final thoughts, that it was just one of the most disappointing conferences I've ever seen out of E3. And I've been here since a lot of like early 2000s, watching it on G4. They definitely didn't have like a super embarrassing moment like $5.99 or or, you know, any of those like very classic E3 moments that were like, oh
yeah.
You know, but it also didn't have my body is ready. Like, Speaking of which, like just a little, I wanted to touch on the lastly is Doug Bowser's announcement, or not announcement, but introduction to as the new Nintendo of America president. I think it was cringy because it's like, oh, there's Bowser and they got the same last name, but like, you know, like it does cement his place and be like, okay, this guy like is kind of jovial like Reggie, not as, but it's gonna take a minute to fill those shoes. I think that was a good announcement, or not introduction.
I just want to say really quick, was it just me, or did the Square Enix Marvel Avengers game, did they just look weird?
They did that. Okay, so I watched it and I was like, with the voices, I was like, okay, this is top 10 voice talent. I mean, these were like the Avengers of voice talent. You know, we have Laura Bailey, Troy Baker, Nolan North, Travis Willingham. The one guy who's played Captain America, I still wasn't super sure what he's done. But yeah, they kind of looked like how the cinematics, like Thor definitely out of all of them looked like how the cinematics used to look in Ultimate Alliance. Where they're just like, oh, there's a lot of hair here. Oh, there's a lot of like the face kind of looks weird. But I think in game that's going to be a little bit, you know, I hope that it's going to be like, oh, this looks, you know, different. Which is kind of, if I'm honest, that's kind of how I felt about Spider-Man PS4, is that, you know, that Peter Parker looked a little bit uncanny valley for me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like it fell into the rest of the style of the game, and I hope that's what's going to be.
I hope
going
to
happen. I think the outrage is a little bit overblown. I'm like, they don't look shit. They just look weird, you know. And I think that
a lot of people are throwing a huge fit.
Yeah.
Like but one thing I did hear was someone said it looks like someone took the time to customize their character in like an MMO, but then they went with default Phase 4.
Yeah, very much, very much. Especially like on Cap, where it's just like, oh, this is a army man, you know, like. Well, I think that the voice talent will fill out the personalities in them enough to where it's just like the faces really don't matter. And I know they want to stray away as much as the MCU, but still kind of have elements of what worked with the MCU.
For sure.
But I think overall, it was a very lackluster conference. I hope next year is something we're talking more about. I mean, it's been slowing down these past few. I hope, to be honest, there is a next year, because it sounds very rough. It sounds like the ASA is not getting the funds that they need. They're not getting and the show floor, with as many people as dropping out. It's in the show floor was so empty from everyone I heard from. So it's gonna be sad, but this may be the last year of E3. I hope not. I don't want it. I don't want it. Yeah, but it's dying, dude. It's dying hard. This is indicative.
I guarantee you, if they did come out and say that, you know, E3 may be canceled due to financing, I guarantee you there'd be a Kickstarter that started up and it would get funded.
I hope so, dude. But
there's too many people like me and you in the world, and a lot of people that are like me and you that have a lot more money than me and you.
Right.
That's
fair.
Would not want to see E3 not be there.
But at the same time,
especially when you got people that like are content creators, that E3 kind of plays a big role in what they do, you know.
Yeah, I think at the same time though, we're kind of forming out of E3. We're kind of cocooning out of E3, where there is things like Nintendo Directs every month, and we don't care as much because we do get stuff every month. We do get like most of the time we get Nintendo Directs every month. We got Inside Xbox, we got State of Play, we've got the Google Stadia Connect. I mean, I think that it's just an indicative of where the industry is going. I don't think we need a big show anymore, and I that makes me feel sad, because the big luxury of it all, the big pomp and circumstance, has kept me around and really got me excited. I mean, this time of year is like fucking Christmas. It's like Christmas for gamers around the world, and it'll hurt me if it does go, but I also won't be surprised.
Damn it, Nick. if E3 gets canceled and I never have a chance to go to an E3 in person, I'm gonna be fucking pissed.
Yeah. Well, and
like,
I think
I will regret it my whole life.
And I think a lot of it too, like from what I've heard, is that it's become more like a PAX, where they're just like, oh, this is a community event rather than a event where we see some big reveals and get behind closed doors. I mean, even if you go, you get the lines. You maybe see 1 or 2 games a day, you know, and that's sad when you can't, you know, see the things that you want to see and play the things that you want to play. But yeah, I unfortunately think this is it's showing how low it's getting, and I think previous E3s throughout the past few years have been like, oh, this is getting a bit, you know, this is getting a bit slower. So it's like, oh, it's dying. I'm like, oh, okay, it's not dying. Like, it's not. But this worries me. Like, this E3 worries me. The fact that EA wasn't at the conference, or wasn't at the show, and they did their own thing, but it was kind of weird like that. And like PlayStation wasn't there, given that they didn't have things to show. But it's like, those are, I mean, for as bad as EA is, like, those are big. You know.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, EA. The only important thing EA had to say was Star Wars Jedi.
Yeah, I didn't even watch the rest of the conference.
We don't care about the Battlefield add-ons. We don't care about FIFA, Madden, or Sims 4 Island Life.
Sims 4 was there, dude. Ugh.
But, I mean, when are we gonna move on to Sims 5? When is Sims 5 gonna announce Sims 5 with multiplayer?
Yeah. How would that work, dude?
What, Sims multiplayer?
Multiplayer with Sims, you're just like clicking and it's like, oh.
No, the same way that like Animal Crossing work multiplayer, right? You both have, there's the neighborhood, and you have your house, and your friend has his house.
Oh, okay.
And they have their house, and you can go to your friend's house and you can visit and you can do stuff, and then you upgrade your household and you get this and that with your house, and you go down the street to your friend's house and oh shit, look, he's got the plasma screen, he's doing good. It's just like that little bit of interaction with a friend. Nothing like crazy.
Yeah,
just that little bit of
just a little bit of online interaction.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think that's where we're gonna end it today. Sure. What did you guys think? Comment below. Let us know. Did you feel that it was bad? Did you feel that it was amazing? What was your favorite announcement? What was your favorite game? What was your most disappointing? Let us know. And as always, take care.
Subscribe.
And I love you.